Amitabh was just saying that in the past you were doing maybe activist or political based art.
No, I mean, I started as an artist who was doing mostly sculpture, installation,
Okay.
And after I graduated and did my masters, I came back to this village, and since I was looking for a good space, and space at the same time, I also was trying to connect back to where I belong to and things like that.
Yeah.
So that way you can see I really put up my works inside this house, and also you can see one of the pieces still lying here which I did then. So mostly I did on the issues which is concerning for this area because of the rapid urbanization.
Yeah.
I am talking 20 years back.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I made mostly the installation and things like that. So, but it's strange or interestingly how it happened for me to move to performance art is when I was doing this stuff, I didn't even know the terminology of performance art and things like that, or live art and things like that. I was mostly interacting with people and all. So whenever I did this work in public, so all the village and surrounding people, they would come and see what is like for example today we took those barrels for the spray.
Yeah.
Right. So similarly I took this one of the work which is here to get it painted in the town there, and they don't come here to spray and things like that. So when it went in a tractor and came by and it was there for 2-3 days, a lot of people were coming and interacting because they understand the furniture, they understand like idols of religious purposes, but they don't understand what is this in between, which they can't figure out. It's not functional, like what I did as an installation. Yeah. But it's interesting because they never seen something like that. Because they can relate to a physical human appearing gods and goddesses or a furniture or something which is done out of wood. Yeah. But they couldn't understand. So there was a lot of what is this? They know that they know that I'm a person from this village or as a relative, etc. Yeah. But they would never were talking to me as such, but because of this, they made a lot of interactions with me. Sure. So I had to explain and tell what is the story behind, and because everything has to be narrative and explained, things like that. So that instances made me, now for me, even in absence of these objects, what I made, which is very physical, very exhausting also, because I used to work on each object, making into 6 months, 3 months, and things like that. So carve, very physical work, but using very local material, nothing very fancy artist stuff, just basic carpentry, basic carving, basic clay work and things like that. Found objects in the village and things like that, or something what the farmers have been using in their farm, and kind of has to tweak a little bit and use it. So then I realized that I used to also exhibit here and also take it to some public exhibition spaces in city or curated shows and things like that. So in the process, I realized that actually I don't need the objects; I can tell the stories itself.
Nice.
So then that made me see myself as a person. That artist is bringing his body, his voice, his presence, basically physical presence as an intervention. Yeah. What we call it as intervening. Sure. Yeah. So bodily intervention basically. Yeah. So because however local you call, but you are an outsider because you have education, you are speaking another language, or you have another articulation way. Yeah. So you are always an outsider. Because I see myself because
an outsider from here.
Here also sometimes, Okay. Even there in the village, in the city, they would see me like somebody from outside, and here I'll be seen as somebody who have a overall experiential this thing, not necessarily hierarchy wise, but as a vastness, And then I come and place this in the context, the way it's happening now. Yeah. I'm very happy that even we're talking after 20 years. And I'm still the same way I'm trying to connect with. Today it could be plants, but then it was art objects,
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So that way I think this made me to move away from object making. Yeah. Because also there was a time when Indian art scene as such was not in the way I would wish I did, because it was the art market driven practices most of the time, and the emphasis was on the object making itself rather than the context and things like that. So that also made me kind of an aversion towards object making, because So now I simply, except for communication, I don't draw anything now. If I want to communicate to somebody with ideas and proposal, I'm still tech illiterate because I don't do Photoshops and AutoCADs and things like that.
Yeah.
So I still depend on my basic drawing skills and illustration skills and things like that. So except for that, I don't draw otherwise.
Sure.
As a signature wise and do something to mount on the wall and things like that.
Yeah.
So since then, I've been like. We also had something to do with as an artist residency project as a collective we worked. It's called Bangalore Artist Residency one.
Okay.
So we had exchange program with the international artists and also local artists. So that we ran initially, and then I was mostly into performance art, live art, something in this thing. And also I've always been teaching, working with a lot of youngsters and all. So even when I was working with, teaching, so-called teaching person, I worked most as a collaborator. Today you can simply put it as a curator.
Yep.
In the terms of curator and facilitator. So I call myself as a facilitator.
Sure. So
rather than as a curator, because since I quit this so-called art or whatever art, so I also don't want to use this word curator. So I'm mostly seen as a facilitator. So even some of my performances were also conscious, physical presence, and I called myself as a performing facilitator. Yeah. Because today I have a role for, I decided for 1 year this project. So my facilitation is only now focused on this gardening. Mm-hmm. So I see it as a role. I have a role to play now. Yeah. So I would not do any other things right now. My focus is now on this, as a gardener or as a facilitator today. So I'm facilitating all these women in the gardens, as a gardener. So some of them might think I went to a gardening school or a horticulture or agriculture school, but actually not. I went to an art school. So each time it's a role play. As for example, in a theatre or something, you have a role to play a certain character or certain discipline. You talk about anything. So something like that. It's a time bound and also it's space bound, and you put yourself in it's also learning, because I also, to do this, I have to also learn certain skills apart from what art skills I've got, like the knowledge with gardening or urban gardening and things like that. So now I'm doing this for 1 year. So I don't know where it takes me to next. Maybe like you saw the lake, what is happening there, and also another, like the house we are looking for. Yeah. That house, maybe in the front, I want to make it like a farmers market like thing, because now all the shops are taken over, all the shops guys are selling the vegetables, most of the farmers will sell them and things like that. Yeah. I want to make a small old school idea of farmers themselves putting up stuff there. And people, now we have an urban crowd from the gated communities and apartments who can buy fresh, so there's no middle person there. Yeah. So it's a model which I want to try, things like that. A place like that will be like a nice open courtyard market for thing. That's what I'm fancying on the things like that. So these are new ideas. This house is just as fresh as a day today, things like that. But this is how it starts. I went there for another purpose, I met this guy, and then I've been eyeing on this house, I know this house, but this never occurred for me. Mm-hmm. And now there's a lot of possibilities like this. Maybe this will lead to such kind of you can have this rural and urban kind of coexistence, as a nature and development kind of a combination, in a healthier way. Yeah. So, and I'll take you to the garden also to see later in the afternoon once the rain comes down. Yeah, cool. And so this is how I got into performance art. I was doing a lot of curation kind of facilitation, and then also art activism started because I did this a collective space for 1 year called Samuha. That is I think it's 10 years back. Okay. So this was like a cooperative model. Yeah. So where artists in town would pitch in some amount of 2,000 rupees every month as a cooperative, mm-hmm. and the space was managed and run within that money of the artist's contribution. Yeah. Not as donation, but as a fee or as for the services or something like that, Yeah. So the artist in return would get 17 days of space mm-hmm. slot, mm-hmm. and they can do anything. So some of them had art exhibitions, somebody had other events and things like that. So it was like a 414 days event. Yeah. Or 1 year. So there's always an activity place happening. So that's how also Bangalore also was a bustling place for this artist initiatives at the time. Yeah. I'm talking about 10 years back. So like Shanti Road came up and many other such spaces were already contributing. Mm-hmm. But I was not interested in a residency model, but I was more interested in this kind of an activity space. Like for example, today you are in town, I would say, invite you to come out to the space and make a presentation and just casual. But a very democratic space. It's not run by one person. It's not, nobody can own it. It's not like it's somebody's one individual's initiative. It was, everyone had a role to play and everyone had nothing to be responsible also. Like, it's not like collective as a group of 10 or group of 20 or something. So it was like a pay and use model also. So I managed the space, and I think that has made me also a little, because then we have many Sureshes around in Hartfield, so we have the Samoa Suresh. I got this Facebook title also along with my name, So I'm on Facebook or online, it's mostly Samoa Suresh, So the Samoa is from that project. Samoa means it's coming together, basically, the mass or gathering and things like that. So that was been my journey. And in last 10 years, apart from performance and this kind of working with the facilitation and collectives and all those things. So this had a kind of an, because I was little consciously pushing on this social aspect of it. So that maybe kind of made people to think that me on the activist side. So because a lot of artists collectives do operate, but they might be showing a well of nice museums and things like that. But for me, I really cut off that, and I'm mostly working in public spaces in the cities, or it could be now in the rural suburbs like this, whichever I'm familiar with terrain. And so similarly, I also did another project with young people who are under 30 years. After Samoa, and with them we choose not any public space like a indoor space, but we went only in the outdoor spaces, like really public, like streets and old buildings demolished, or any such. So this young artist, 20 artists, 1 year long I worked with them. So they would propose the site and the concept, and I would facilitate them. So we worked. So today. The presentation at Maximum Burn is by 2 artists from the group. So they did interesting works, and based on the work, they got a residency invitation to Germany, and they come back and they're going to present what they've done. So that's why. So this is part of the group I worked with 5 years back.
Nice.
So that's something that major one color. And other than that, before getting into this gardening and terrace gardening and things, there's another project which mostly I ran through was the archiving project. When artists, when we did the Samoa, and later on, there were a lot of artists were actually organizations, art organizations, institutions, they were doing this artist talks. Not that every week there would be 1 or 2 talks in the town. So I sense that this has to be digitalized and made available for younger artists, because to have an artist in a city, and that artist might not have a very good documentation online or books as such, because it takes a lot of time for them to be that affordable to have a book on them, So that's why I thought when they're making a presentation anyway, they go in a very retrospective way of presenting the work. So I thought I'll archive that and put it online.
Nice.
So I did video documentation voluntarily. I used to go there with a tripod, camera, and document. And that project I considered as it is supposed to be ongoing, but now I can't afford to carry laptops and cameras and all by myself, and run around too much in the city, because that city has grown and it's chaotic and things like that. So it was also taking on my health issues also, my legs hurting and all those things.
Really
so that way I kind of winded up this project, but that talks are still online. I made 40 talks of Bangalore artists available online. It's an open source collective. It's called Padma, pad.me. So all these artist talks I uploaded onto them. So I got a small support from them. And it's online. So this was something to work with the digital space. After physical space of Samoa, and then I worked on this digital space as a collective, whatever, open source.
Yeah, super nice.
pad.me.
.ma. Ooh, is that just gone? Oh, it's a new pen, isn't
it? pad.me. So in that you can look for perfumes.
Online artist talk.
Perfumes. So mostly Bangalore artists or talks in Bangalore, which happened that time, and I recorded that and uploaded it as a open source. Nothing edited, nothing. It's just plain cut, because I'm not interested in making movies or documentaries on artists and things. I want to kind of capture the energy and the dynamics of collective coming together.
Nice.
Because I mean, it also was a little controversial when I was doing it later on, so that's also another reason actually. I was to think twice whether I should do this or not, because people, artists or the art community likes if I make it like a formal record, camera, but for me, I'm a person who doesn't want to work on such conventional models. I want to something which is very pedagogical at the same time and also something very collective in spirit.
Yeah.
Like if I become like a documentary filmmaker and make a profiles on artists or make a series, they'll be happy that I interview, I show to them, I edit it, all these things. It might be nice, but I'm not interested in that because there are a lot of people who can do it.
Yes,
but for me, it's mostly that I wanted to capture the essence of this kind of a movement at the time, which was happening in town.
Yeah.
So that all went there, and post that, 2 years of my energy and time, or all the spirit of it went to this VAG forum. There's a lot of material online about VAG forum.
Yeah.
So how we artists came together to fight the space at a very higher level, with the industrialists, with the ministers, and to retain that public gallery, which is called Venkata Art Gallery.
Yeah, cool.
Because that was not just a gallery, it was also a place, a public space, which is in a prime property. Both government and also the private people were interested in the property. But for us, it's a spirit. Tomorrow we are having an event there. If you wish, you can come tomorrow.
Cool.
Because one of the lady passed away, artists who passed away recently, 15-20 days back.
Yeah.
So we're doing a condolence meeting tomorrow about her, the woman, because this woman had been not written or documented well about this woman artist. Was very influential in setting up an art school in Bangalore.
Right.
Because most of the art schools in Bangalore or Karnataka is set up by artists themselves. So it's not like state intervened and bought the schools up. It's artists who are doing interesting work or who were keen on pedagogy. They started the schools in Bangalore. So that way it's very interesting. So this lady is one of the important person behind this starting of the school. So we're doing a kind of a meeting tomorrow from the.
Nice.
It's officially we are the team as VAG Forum, but we are not doing under the banner of VAG Forum as things are, because the VAG Forum is meant for the fight and for the cause and all.
Yeah.
But the same people are coming together tomorrow informally, and we are doing this kind of we pulled in all the images of her work or a little data which is there in the family and things like that, because she kind of stayed away from the art community for a long time.
Okay.
And she had a job and then she retired and she was on her own. So that's why. So we also are getting to this kind of things which actually the mainstream is not doing anything. So that, if you wish, you can see the event tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And also it will be interesting to see the public space which you fought for.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very close to Kavan Park in the Club and opposite next to the Red Museum building.
Yeah.
You can take a metro from Indiranagar and come.
Perfect. Yeah.
So we're there tomorrow around 3 o'clock and all. The event will be 5 I think. You can come. So so when during that process of like fighting for the space for VAG, it took really 2 years, and that was the time I had this lot of ideas for the terrace gardening and all those things. By then I was also interested in that process. I lost my mother 5 years back, so that also made me to cook like regularly at home, and that also got me interest and also nostalgic about the recipes my mom used to make. And unfortunately I couldn't record it because it was a very accidental kind of she passing away. Okay. So I always wanted to record her recipes and everything, and it didn't happen at all, because you don't expect that your mom she would go just like that, So that's something I was very feeling heavy about it. And then, and my visits, I used to visit her during the festivals and all this, and I always felt that, this is what actually I've been missing. And so I tried to replicate the recipes and all this. So I want to do that. So this idea of this started from there. That when I started cooking regularly, then I wanted to grow something for myself. Then all these wild things I started growing on my terrace. Nice. And all the terrace knowledge, all those things made, and also I used to share all these images on the WhatsApp to my village families, and I knew that they had stopped growing. They didn't have gardens like a year back or something like that, So I was like making them feel little this thing that I'm doing on terrace, why can't you do it on your land? Things like when you have land and water and everything resources around. So that made me to push for this. Even in the terrace, I did a lot of experiments like this, about water conservation and also how to use the minimum resources, composting. So I designed a lot of cheap do-it-yourself containers for the composting and all those things. So and also this grow like this, And so that knowledge I wanted to extend it to a larger thing. So I choose this village as a site, and I'm working with many women, like we do events, and it's a women collective basically in the village.
Cool.
And they don't come and help me as such, but they mostly contribute by cooking, and they will work on their own gardens. So it's not that every woman comes and works at that common space.
Sure.
It's a small space. So I made the project was that they work in their own gardens at their own houses, but I would facilitate them and things like that. So there's also it's their personal spaces also as a kitchen gardens. So now this family will start something there in front. Things like that. So everyone are, like you saw, there are a few more families around these houses.
Yeah.
So they all kind of started sourcing the natural wild edibles, because earlier they didn't feel like they were growing them. Now there's a consciousness. Everyone are bringing back those lost because they know that the land is changing, the construction is happening, and they do not see it anymore. But they know that it's very rich and nutritious and also healthy and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's happening, and I'm in it's a 1-year project for me to focus on, and funded for the 1 year. And I'm in the middle of the project, and by now we have done 2-3 events, and I saved this last season. I saved a lot of seeds for pumpkins and beans and all those things. So we soon, maybe in January, during the harvest season, I'll have another event to share things like. So it's in the process. Day to day, I've been archiving all the curries and all those things, because it's seasonal. Because you get bamboo shoot in one season, then you get some greens in one season. Yeah. So accordingly, I'm kind of in the process. I'm nothing online yet, but it's on WhatsApp groups and it's on this Instagram and these little things. Officially, I have to make it as a proper YouTube channel kind of a stuff, which is like hectic for me to do in the process, because I don't have as a team. So I'll do it when the harvest and everything is done. So there's nothing much as a excitement in the fields, Yeah. So then I would like to focus on the archival part. But I've been documenting it completely, as much as I can.
Nice.
And also looking for this rare herbs and all those things. And luckily this year we had good rains, so I can see a lot of wild. They're popping up, and they're visible for them to identify and things like that.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah,
really
that's
nice.
the sum up.
Yeah, cool. And so then I guess trying to link this a little bit into the sort of politics of the area and stuff like this. I guess this is like because you say you're kind of saving a lot of land from the actual developers and stuff like this?
No, see here in this village case we are, I'm mostly focused on, because I really didn't get into like that kind of fighting, because I believe, there'll be a lot of people who can fight and protest and things, but I'm also the person who also want to make this kind of a groundwork. Mm-hmm. Like I started off with the stories of food and curries and things like that. Yeah. That is leading to save the, not to spray herbicides and not to encroach water bodies, not to pollute water bodies. Yeah. So in a way, it is the extension of it. But I started it, but I didn't come day one and bang, said, oh no, stop it, let's protest, let's join, So I didn't gather that way. I started very quietly, like in an organic way, because I still sound as an outsider because I have a urban life and things like that. Yeah. So I don't like them to feel that it's like coming on, it's like imposing or whatever it is, Yeah. So I want to make it like the uncle you saw in the car is here. Mm-hmm. Even with him I confronted, about the issues, Yeah. But there's a mutual respect. Yeah. So they appreciate what I'm doing, So they try to. So I also don't touch that nerve part, but at the same time try to push the boundaries, So for example, I want to plant trees, but I want the boundaries to be fixed. Yeah. What is your private landing, what is public space. Yeah. So that way, whether it's a gallery space we fought for, public gallery space, or it's the village public space, which is meant for greenery. Even in tradition, we had concepts like community forest in the villages, because everyone were agrarians. They knew the farmers would cut off wild to grow a lot of things, because that's a tradition. But so they, even the elders, not only the state, but even the elders had identified some plots in the village that is meant to be only for vegetation, like trees. Yeah. So that mango trees, birds can come and monkeys can come and things like that. So that knowledge is lost again. Yeah. So for various purposes, they cut down the trees in public, things like that. So now this is the time. Now I also feel that that this consciousness is possible to spread.
Yeah, and do you think that's like possibly like a main aim? So I'm trying to kind of understand maybe what is like peak kind of importance for artists, for like contemporary artists around.
So the contemporary artists, in Indian art scene there are two young artists who are working in similar lines. Either one a girl, she's in Pune somewhere, Nagpur somewhere. She works with their own village community in a larger scale. About seed saving and making products or selling or something like that. But I've not got into that because this is a very suburb space. There's not much land as the scale of the farming is come down. Okay. So I'm keeping, because my focus is also about the health or well-being also, because of the use of pesticides and also not eating healthy vegetables and things like that. Yeah. And there are a lot of health issues also. So that was my initial focus on, because I see that a lot of elderly, like 40 plus or 50 plus is diabetic and all those things. So that's something that I also want to kind of intervene. Yeah. So that also comes because my late wife, my daughter's mom, was an Ayurvedic doctor. Okay. So I have that little knowledge and influence also on me about, I believe in Ayurveda and I take Ayurvedic and things like that. Yeah. And same with my daughter. And so we are hardcore into Ayurvedic. We don't do unnecessary like medication and all those things. We avoid most of the time. Yeah, nice. Except for emergency, Yeah. And so that way I come from that background also. Yeah. So we both together also did a lot of community work in the village. When we bought some doctors. We used to have a 15 days once a village visit. They should check. If I do it for free and things like that. Yeah. Just a minute. Hello, Deepa. Plants. How come? So what is this logic? Okay. 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 Complaint, okay. 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 Oh, okay. If you want, I can come by also. Yeah. So what happened to the media guy? He left? Okay. Okay. Okay, check. So if we are coming to the station, we can also meet this media guy. Okay. So let me know what time you'll reach the station. I'll come. Okay. So then I'll come by. Yeah, I'll come by. Sarjapur station, no? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So 2 o'clock, for example. Oh no, 10 to 2. 10 to 2. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So they're making a formal complaint to the police station. Because the contractor with this advertisements is refusing to stop. He's threatening that I will take over all the plans. And
really?
Yeah, so we are making a formal complaint to the police station.
It's the advertisement people that are taking the plans.
Yeah.
But the advertisements are illegal anyway.
So you want to join me?
Sure. Yeah.
So but you can continue for 5, or if something comes in, you can ask me.
Yeah, if you like, we can nip in and out. Nip in and out.